Hello, church. So here's our devotional for Tuesday, January 13th. We continue our devotional series on the Psalms, and today we come into Psalm 143. We are going to be doing it in two parts, partly because of commentary, but more because I wanted us to pause at the Selah. So these are little notices that occasionally occur in some translations. Peterson does not use them. But the particular piece we're going to be pausing on is this image of thirsting for God as a desert thirst for water. So these kind of parched times. So we're going to do a little bit of conversation on desert experiences coming in. The largest desert I have been over, and this was an airplane, not crossing it on foot, was when we traveled to Ghana, which is in the western part of Africa. We flew into Amsterdam and then came south, and that meant we were crossing over the Sahara. It was all the space I could see, even at that altitude in the plane. It reminded me of chocolate pudding, just, with all these peaks and valleys and just vast. My sister lived in Albuquerque for about 5 years and had the chance to visit her and do the Grand Canyon as we traveled into Arizona. Went through the Badlands in South Dakota, which really feels like you are on the moon. I mean, it's just a vastly different space. Ironically, a few years ago, when I went in September to officiate the wedding of Seth Coons, which they were doing in Arizona, I was expecting to find this desert experience, but it was during a part within their rainy season period. And so there were several places where there was just a lot of lush green. And the way the desert works is, since water is so sporadic, you get these, really abundant moments of life in the midst of some very typically barren and dry places, but really different geography. I think it always strikes people who are not coming from that climate, and just strikingly beautiful. So we come into Psalm 143 with that and your own desert experiences. A Psalm of David. Hear my prayer, O Lord. Give ear to my supplications, to your faithfulness. Answer me in your righteousness. Do not enter into judgment with your servant, for no one living is righteous before you. For the enemy has pursued me, crushing my life to the ground, making me sit in darkness like those long dead. Therefore my spirit faints within me, my heart within me is appalled. I remember the days of old. I think about all your deeds. I meditate on the works of your hands. I stretch out my hands to you. My soul thirsts for you like a parched land. Selah. And here's the first part of our commentary from James Mays, and he entitles this, None Righteous Before You. Psalm 143 is the seventh and last of the penitential psalms. These are psalms that are used for the purpose of repentance. The traditional list of psalms to be used as scriptural and liturgical texts to inform and guide the practice of repentance. It was composed as an individual's prayer for deliverance from enemies. That raises an interesting question about just how it expresses repentance, since it's a prayer for help and talking about enemies. The prayer begins with petitions to be heard rather than be put on trial before the Lord. The trouble is pursuit by an enemy who has driven the psalmist into the sphere of death. The memory of God's saving work for and among his people leaves the psalmist longing for God as parched land needs rain. Then an intense, sustained series of pleas for God's answering help, supported by descriptions of trouble and confessions of confidence, express the longing and need for God. Is that the form and movement of a prayer for repentance? Undoubtedly, the feature of the psalm that led to its selection is verse 2, with its plea to be spared the judgment of God for the reason that no living person is in the right before God. The plea with its reason is quite unexpected in a prayer for help. But here, something has changed. Instead of citing a specific innocence, the prayer appeals to the general predicament in which all mortals stand. It must be because the judgment is thought of here as a judgment with respect to God rather than with respect to human accusations. Before you, in quotes, no one is in the right. It is interesting that the only other occurrences of the sentence, the Lord enters into judgment with a person, are in Job. It is also in Job that a cluster of statements that no human being is righteous before God appear. Behind Job and these Psalms is a deepening awareness of the human predicament before God. And from Peterson's The Message, a David psalm. Listen to this prayer of mine, God. Pay attention to what I'm asking. Answer me. You're famous for your answers. Do what's right for me, but please don't haul me into court. Not a person alive would be acquitted there. The enemy hunted me down. He kicked me and stomped me within an inch of my life. He put me in a black hole, buried me like a corpse in that dungeon. I sat there in despair, my spirit draining away, my heart heavy like lead. I remembered the old days, went over all you've done, pondered the ways you've worked, stretched out my hands to you, as thirsty for you as a desert thirsty for rain. So that's our first part for Psalm 143, and we'll be finishing that up tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, and we will catch you later. Bye.